evening, everyone. My name is Brian McCarthy, and as town moderator, I'd like to call this Town of Merrimack deliberative session into session and request that you all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Registered voters should have a voter's card. You will need this should you wish to speak tonight or vote. If you don't have one, come up here and check in. Election day for the town and school districts is April 8th from 7 to 7 at your respective polling locations. At that election, Merrimack will be using a new ballot counting machine, so please be patient with the machines and with the humans next to them if there is an issue. The state has made several changes to the election laws, and a couple of big ones are if you do not have an ID, you will not be able to vote. So make sure you come with your ID. There's no longer going to be signing an affidavit or taking a picture. That's no longer an option. If you have a name or address change, you need physical proof with you. A driver's license would do, so if you happen to if you moved within town or if you got married and changed your name, make sure everything's correct. You can check it on the state's website before that election. We have 7 articles on the warrant that need to be moved to the ballot tonight, and that's what we're going to be doing. Each article, I will be asked for a motion for it to be moved to the ballot, and it'll be seconded, and then we'll be discussing it. If you wish to speak, please approach the microphone with your voter card. Someone there will record your name so it can be recorded for the minutes later. If you have a question, ask it, an appropriate person will answer it. If you have an amendment, if it's more than a few words, we'll get it written down, and once I have that, you can speak to it and have a second, and we'll discuss that. Voting is going to be done by hand. I'll say all in favor, all opposed. If there is a majority obvious, I will call the yes or no. If it's close, I will have my moderators, I'll do it again, and we'll count the cards. I'm limiting time at the microphone to 3 minutes. And while discussion is happening, please be courteous to your fellow voters. If you happen to have a cell phone on, please put it on mute. And at this time, I would like to recognize the Town Council Chair, Finley, to introduce the tables.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and I'm glad to see everybody here tonight. I am Finley Rothaus, and I start on my left, your right. We have Pete Albert, Jennifer Jobin, then Mackenzie Murphy, and Nancy Murphy. And on my right, your left, is Nancy Harrington, Andy Hunter, and Town Manager Paul McCallie, and our attorney, Matt Upton. And I don't know, Paul, did you want to?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Behind me is Brenda DeLong, Town Clerk Tax Collector, and Paul Calabria, Finance Director. Also in the audience, we have Fire Chief Mark DeFranzo, Human Resource Director Sharon Marunich, Community Development Director Robert Price, Welfare Administrator Sandra Delarusa. Did I get that? No? Sorry. Don Tulamler is our DPW Director. I'm Matt Kasparius is Parks and Rec. We have Brian LeVake, our Police Chief. I know, I got that one right. It only took 20 years, Brian. Yvette Hauser is our Library Director. Got that one right too, right? Got two out of 3 ain't bad. What I'd like to do is Mike, over sitting in the corner there, is retiring after an illustrious career here. I want to give him a special thank you. He's the one that sets up this deliberative session. His employees set up this deliberative session, make sure everything's right. He's been doing it for a number of years, and without him, the chairs and how smooth this place runs, and how when we get in here, all we have to do is put name placards up here is a great blessing for me and my staff. So, Mike, I want to thank you for all you do, and happy and long retirement. And the sound is provided by Bob Malloy. He's up here on the stage this year. He got moved up to the stage from the floor, but without him, we wouldn't be able to hear what we're saying. And finally, I want to thank Justin, Grace, and Vanessa. They're the media department that's here to provide live coverage of the deliberative session. So without them, the live feeds and all the programming that happens in town would not happen. And Nicholas LaValle, who is the media service coordinator, is actually up in Concord taping the hockey game, the semifinal hockey game. So he's supposed to be back, but we'll see if he makes it.
I was actually going to wait till the end, but since Paul's made his announcements, I'll start with the Merrimack hockey team actually won, the combined team won in the semifinal game, is going to the championship game on Saturday. Nice. So, and then I was going to wait till the end to announce that our good friend and amazing fellow counselor, Andy Hunter, will not be returning. His work life is apparently getting in the way, and it is sad for us, and a loss for the community, but it was a wonderful time we've had with what he brought to the table. So, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, I forgot one. My IT coordinator, Jonathan Diaz. He snuck in, so Jonathan's here tonight as well.
Okay. All right, we're going to start with Article 2, and I am going to suggest that what we do is, unless the body wants the articles read, I am just going to say the article is going to be moved as written, and then we can talk about it, and we'll save a little time. It's in front of you. Everyone kind of agree with that? All right, great, thank you. All right, so Article 2, do we have a motion to move?
I would like to move Article 2 as it is written.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Go ahead.
The town of Merrimack has been awarded a Clean Water State Revolving Fund for a loan of up to $100,000. This loan program qualifies for up to $55,000 of the principal forgiveness. This loan will be used for the development of a conceptual engineering design and cost estimate to update the aging Pennachuck Water Pump Station. The balance of $45,000 will be paid from the user fees.
Okay. Is there any discussion or questions on Article 2? Seeing none, that moves to the ballot. Article 3 is the budget. Finley, you moving it?
Yes, Mr. Moderator, I'd like to move Article 3 as printed.
Second.
Thank you, Nancy. Discussion?
All right, I'd like to just touch on a few things to compare our current 2024-25 budget, default budget, to our proposed budget that we're bringing forward to you. Our budget's broken into 4 categories, basically: wages and benefits, other cost items is the second, then we have capital outlays, and number 4 is debt service. So I'll speak to the increases and some decreases in our wages and benefits category, and that's there are costs associated with the raises that have been previously voted upon in our 6 unions that are under contract. Each year those come with raises, and that increase is about $510,000. We have a $195,000 increase for our non-union raises. In our IT department, we had a part-time position, an assistant coordinator position that was part-time. We're moving up to a full-time position, and that will increase the budget by $71,000. At the retirement of Pat Murphy, our welfare administrator, she had recommended moving her position into a full-time position, which we did do, and that's an increase of about $74,000. And these increases for wages and benefits, there's about $69,000 in increased overtime costs for both the police and fire. And then there is a decrease in the compensated absences in our New Hampshire retirement system contribution to the tune of $80,000. The other cost items have an increase of about $476,000. The major increase was in solid waste disposal for $154,000, and that's because our tipping fees have increased and our tonnage that we're receiving has increased as well. In our capital project and equipment category, we have increased about $930,000. The two major areas were we're going to be constructing an 800 megahertz communication tower on the west side of town. That will improve the communications with our safety departments, police and fire in those areas, and there'd be better service for the community in those regions that are lacking. Then we have about master plan that's supposed to be updated every 10 years. I think we're closing in on close to 13 years right now, and that's a $200,000 cost. The debt service increase is approximately $1,315,000, and that cost is associated with the $33 million wastewater upgrade that's now substantially complete, and the first year payment is about $1.3 million. Our total operating budget is $42,863,616, and we're projecting an increase of 31 cents on the tax rate. The default budget is $40,808,000, which is based off of last year's operating budget, plus or minus adjustments made that are dictated by state law. And if you have any questions, I can try and answer them, or somebody here could surely do it too.
Okay. Anyone have any questions on the budget? Seeing none. Moves to the
Thank you.
ballot. Article 4, Capital Reserve Fund deposits.
I'd like to move Article 4 as written.
Thank you. Second. Andy, second.
Just a couple of words about this. Capital reserve funds are really just our savings accounts. Over a period of time, we take funds and we save it in order to make major expenditures like fire trucks, ambulances, police cars, or larger programs or projects. The advantage of that is we don't have to bond, which a lot of towns have to bond, and obviously you have to pay interest on that. If you have the amount of money you need for a project or expenditure, then you avoid that. It also provides an opportunity. There are occasions where there are opportunities become available and we're able to take advantage of those. For example, the state oftentimes will come out, and we've taken advantage of this, repairing bridges. We've had 6 bridges in the town. We've been able to take advantage of the 20%, 80% advantage state, where the town pays 20% and the state pays 80% to replace a bridge. Because we had 20% available, we were able to get that done where a lot of towns didn't because they didn't have the money. So there's a great advantage to having these.
Thank you. Any discussions on Article 5?
There's a question.
Excuse me. Article 4, sorry. Go ahead.
My name is John Sauter. I'm wondering what traffic preemption is. That's one of the lines here that I don't understand.
Paul will answer that.
So traffic preemption is for our emergency management vehicles. When our fire trucks are running through an intersection, as they approach the intersection, the lights turn to the direction they're going to stop traffic, to avoid accidents of cars coming through traffic lights. So if you see those red flashing lights on top of the traffic signal there at Babuzik Lake Road and DW Highway, that's the traffic preemption system.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Article 4 moves as printed. Article 5, Capital Reserve Fund wastewater treatment facility.
I'd like to move Article 5 as written.
Thank you, Nancy.
Second.
Second by Jen. Go ahead.
Thank you. Article 5 establishes a sewer infrastructure capital reserve fund, which is necessitated by a change in RSA 35-5. In prior years, it was part of the operating budget, and due to the change in statute, we need to have a separate warrant article from the operating budget for capital reserve fund deposits. Funding for Article 5 comes from sewer user fees, not taxes.
Thank you. Any discussions? Thank you. Article 5 moves as printed. Article 6.
Chris Christensen, trustee of trust funds. I move Article 6 as printed.
Thank you. Second? Second. Pat Heinrich? Peter? Thank you.
Well, all the speeches have been so short, I'm tempted to just drag it out. This is something that doesn't come up very often, so it's not going to be familiar to you. The last time we had this article was in 2004. The trustees of trust funds have and manage about 130 acres of forest land on Mitchell Street and Lawrence Road. And the will from Harry Watkins specified that a committee of trustee, selectmen, and school board member manage the cutting, and the money is put into a savings account for the benefit of schools, grades 1 through 8. We've done some great things with Harry Watkins funds, and this beautiful floor that you're paying for, you think the school district paid for it? They did not. Harry Watkins paid $300,000 for this floor and the ADA bleachers and some other things. So this is very worthwhile, and I hope you'll support the article.
Thank you.
Hi, Wendy Thomas, Wildcat Falls. I actually support this article. However, I have two questions, and I'm hoping they can be answered. The first question is, I understand this committee will consist of one member of the school board, one town council member, and one trustee of the trust fund. I'm wondering why the Conservation Committee was not included as a member of this committee. And my second question, that was a question. My second question was, do we have an estimate of how much money we would get from the cutting of these trees? And again, I am for this article. I'm not against it. I just have these questions.
Chris? Thank you.
Second one first. I don't have an exact figure. The fund was started in 1970 with the first cut. It was about $70,000. In 2004, something over $100,000. I would hope that in this day and age, it would be about that amount. But we have not done a complete inventory. We've done site walks once in 2019 and once last fall to make sure that the timing is right in terms of forest management. But that's part of our goal, is managing the forest, not entirely to raise money. The other question about adding the Conservation Commission, the will does specify the committee. And in order to do something different than what's in the will, I think we'd have to go to probate court and get permission. However, this is a public event. We do talk to the Conservation Commission. We share a landing site with them. We've worked with them in terms of managing our access to the land, because we have to go through Conservation Commission land on the Mitchell Street forest. So we do work together, but they're not on the committee by the choice of the donor.
Thank you.
Stay up here. So, no, I just have another question. Again, I'm for this article. However, is there going to be an environmental study done? And I assume if this is done before, that the trees will be looked at. They're going to be looked at to see if there's any wildlife that can't be disrupted. So, is someone going to do a proper environmental study?
Last October, we had our forester walk the site. We were accompanied by I don't have the name right now, a gentleman from the University of New Hampshire Extension Service who was also a forester. So they have looked at those issues. Environment's a big word, and a lot of things that can come out of that. We don't study the soil too much. We don't study the water too much because there isn't a lot there. So I'm not sure what you're looking for under the word environment, but we've done the normal studies and look-sees.
Thank you.
My name is John Sauter. I noticed that this warrant article creates a committee, and I'm not sure how a committee functions if it's created by a warrant article instead of by the town council. The town council has a very good mechanism for creating committees, and so I move to amend this warrant article to say that the committee will function as though it were a committee of the town council.
Okay, thank you.
If there's a second.
Is there a second? Hold on a second. No. Well, basically, so in the appointment of the committee, functioning as would a committee appointed by the town council to have full charge. So he's basically adding that wording into the article. So do we have a second on this amendment? Seeing none, we're back to the original warrant Article 6 as printed. Any other discussion? Seeing none, this moves as printed. You have a orange-colored sheet that says Article 7 on it. This will be on the ballot as printed. However, if you have any questions about it, we'll have the attorney give a quick synopsis of what this means.
Just to give you some legal background, we received a petition to establish the redistricting commission. This is all a statutory process under RSA 662A. It's kind of, I call it a unicorn because it's an unusual statute. It's one of the few statutes where a petition, instead of coming and being added to the warrant, goes directly to the ballot. We looked at the statute as well as the charter, and that seems to be the appropriate process for the petition. To give you just kind of a background about what this article would do, this article is not to actually redistrict the community. It's to establish a commission that would look at redistricting the community. And these, the redistricting relates to your House of Representatives seats, not to anything to do with the town council. You would have an opportunity, if this passes, to approve any recommendation on redistricting. And even after that, it goes to the House and the Senate and has to become a bill that's signed by the governor. The Secretary of State's office also plays a role and would look to make sure that the principles of one man, one vote are followed and that districts are appropriately configured. So again, this is just the first step in the process. It's not the end step in the process. And if you have any further questions, I think the orange sheet probably can give you all the information you need.
Any questions on this?
My name is John Sauter. I would be curious to know what our present delegates think of this.
Actually, I'll just quickly touch on it. I've been told that There's really no time right now for us to explain our positions on it. It's because it's by statute, it goes right to the ballot. Because I was a little disappointed I couldn't speak to it, but we have that opportunity once the town speaks blindly of their own opinion, having to seek their own answers. I think that's about where it stands. So I was told we couldn't say anything about it.
But I can.
Which is what's peculiar about it, because if there's going to be dialogue, there should be the real dialogue. But
Yeah, no, I understand that. So just to give somebody, or to give everyone a little bit of history on this, right now we have 8 reps that represent the entire town of 28,000 people. So when we run for election or we run for re-election, we have to reach out to all of those households. To put it in perspective, most of the other reps at Concord represent between 3,000 and 7,000 people. So we actually have a lot on our backs, you know, but that's what we sign up to do, you know. But the thing is, when there's a problem, like during COVID, and now with a lot of economic problems, anyone in the town of Merrimack can contact your state rep to get help, to get resources, you know, and I'm not necessarily complaining about this, because this is, again, what I signed up to do, but we're at the State House all day long. We have, you know, meetings in the evening, and then I am constantly on the phone working with people, trying to get them resources, trying to find unemployment benefits, trying to find them food benefits, trying to find, you know, all kinds of resources. And so I think what the intent of this warrant article is to break the town into wards. We already have wards. We have voting wards. Everybody votes at a different. You're shaking your hand. We don't have wards, but we have voting. We have voting places. So we're kind of. We're not. Okay, I take that back. Margie knows. But anyway, it's an attempt to sort of to corral, I think, the amount of people that are represented by each representative. I think that's the way I interpret it anyway.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Janine Nodder. I believe I'm the longest serving representative currently running. I'm in my 15th year. I don't know where this came from. I don't agree with it. We're not a city, we're a town. The system we have has worked well as long as I've been here, and before me, when Chris was a state rep. We end up helping people all over the state. I mean, anytime I get an email from somebody with a question on the Second Amendment, I answer it. I answer the motorcycle people. The only ones I don't answer are the ones I know are hostile, and that's the way it is. But I oppose this. I will oppose it on the ballot. I will oppose it if it comes to Concord. Thank you.
You're good, Bill.
Good evening. Bill Boyd, 139 Joppa Road. Mr. Moderator, through you, to the Town Council and the community of Merrimack. I am in opposition to Amendment 7 for the sole purpose that this is a solution in search of a problem. I think as a community, as one community, we've done an amazing job in terms of how we manage our elections. I think when the voters speak, they speak as one, they speak with clarity. When I first moved to the community, it was a solid R+8, Republican town, and I think that's dramatically changed throughout the years, and I think it's indicative of the diversity of the electoral population that we have in our community that allows the 8 representatives, who I serve with, who I have the pleasure of serving with, are able to provide the depth and the balance that the town of Merrimack is able to provide in terms of representation up in Concord. So for me, when I look at it from that perspective, to use the cliche, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But the second thing is as Attorney Upton noted, is that this process is a 6-pronged process, is onerous, and if the commission works carefully, probably could get it done in time for 2026. But as we all know, things can happen. Now you're looking at a process that could push to 2028. And, you know, at the end of the day, with all, if the community does the hard work and decides to recommend it and send it up to Concord, there's no guarantee that it's going to pass the New Hampshire House or the New Hampshire Senate. And I certainly would not want to waste taxpayer dollar on a process that doesn't achieve the desired results that the petitioners are seeking to include. So in conclusion, I'm against Article 7. I believe in the process that we have in town. It works. And I would encourage my community to vote against Article 7. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Christensen, 27 Greatstone Drive. Along with the others that just spoke, I served in the House for 8 terms, 16 years. It was a great benefit in my mind to be able to go to various places as we needed to represent our community, to say, look, we represent, or I represent 27,000 people, not just those 6,000 over there in the corner that nobody knows about. It was very helpful when it was a long fight, but it was very helpful when we went to bat and got rid of the highway tolls for Merrimack. And there are other issues that where it came up to be advantageous to be one body. So I would oppose this motion or this article.
Thank you.
Good evening. Obviously,
Your name,
this is
please?
going to...
Your
Oh,
name.
I'm sorry. My name is George Dieter, 17 Dunstable Circle.
Thank you.
Obviously, the voters will get a chance to vote on this the next month. If in the event they do vote it in, how will the representatives, the members of the committee, be chosen?
By the council.
Very good. Thank you.
Good morning. Richard Barry, 12 Kyle Road. I was a rep for about 10 years. This takes away the ability for someone, anyone, to be able to vote for 8 people that they think are good and going to do well with us up in the State House. Dead set against it. Thank you.
Good evening. I am one of the 25...
Your name, sir?
Sorry, Paul Rassiope, 25 Middlesex.
Thank you.
I'm one of the 25 petitioners that put forward this warrant article. And there are a couple of reasons for doing it. Historically, and I've got some numbers here, there are 9 states that still use multi-member districts for state representative. And New Hampshire is the only one that elects up to 11 members at large in one district. Merrimack has 8 of them. I feel that it's not really representational for the entire community because it's such a large community. There are different economic zones, and I think people would be better represented from people within their own particular district. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Thank you. I will entertain a motion. Second.
Was that to adjourn?
We are adjourned.
Guess it
Thank
was.
you.
Time.